Okay, guys, welcome to Job 6. Now, we just got done with Eliphaz. Eliphaz had two chapters where he was blaming Job for his problems. And then it kind of sounded like he was being a little sarcastic in what he was saying. Job responds, "My complaint is just." Then Job answered and said, "Oh, that my grief were fully weighed, and my calamity laid with it on the scales. For then it would be heavier than the sands of the sea. Therefore my words have been rash. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. My spirit drinks in their poison. The terrors of God are arrayed against me. Does the wild donkey bray when it has grass, or does the ox low over its fodder? Can flavorless food be eaten without salt, or is there any taste in the white of an egg? My soul refuses to touch them. They are as loathsome food to me. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant me the thing that I long for, that it would please God to crush me, that he would loose his hand and cut me off. Then I would still have comfort, though in anguish I would exult. He will not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. So Job's kind of starting to go into a little bit of a pity party here, it sounds like. Why would he want to be cut off from the Lord if he knows the Lord gives and the Lord takes away? Well, he's in a severe state of depression. And he probably doesn't understand why this has happened or what's going on. And so he's like, just cut me off and be done with it. Now, keep in mind, too, what was going on before. I would imagine, especially after what his wife said to him, he probably, or maybe, have already had some suspicions about her. We know from the first chapter he had suspicions about his sons and daughters. So a lot has fallen on him all at one time. So, human nature, it's going to be natural for him to respond this way. But I think a lot of people, especially if you're in a bad problem now, can relate to some of the stuff he's talking about here. Verse 11, what strength do I have that I should hope? And what is my end that I should prolong my life? Now, keep in mind, too, he didn't know how salvation was going to come. He says in here, I don't remember what chapter it is. He says, I know my Savior, I know my Messiah. But he's making a very interesting admission here. What strength do I have? What strength do any of us have? Now he says it kind of weird. What strength do I have that I should hope? I can't hope on my own because I don't know what to hope in, but the Lord has given me something to hope in, and so my hope comes from Him. And what is my end that I should prolong my life? We all know what our end is in the Lord. One of the things they had not come to a realization about back then was what the future was going to hold. There was some knowledge, it seems, even if all of it wasn't written down. But his situation, though not specifically unique, because a lot of people end up in very similar situations and very similar mindsets. Job is starting to seem like he's feeling a little bit sorry for himself. And so it may be that Eliphaz has maybe had a little bit of an effect on him. But, like Job said at the beginning, my complaint is just. Verse 12. Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh bronze? Is my help not within me, and is success driven from me? To him who is afflicted, kindness should be shown by his friend, even though he forsakes the fear of the Almighty. Now he's telling Eliphaz off. My brothers have dealt deceitfully like a brook, like the streams of the brook that pass away, which are dark because of the ice, and into which the snow vanishes. When it is warm, they cease to flow. When it is hot, they vanish from their place. When when things get rough, they disappear. The paths of their way turn aside. They go nowhere and perish. The caravans of Tema look. The travelers of Sheba hope for them. They are disappointed because they were confident. They come there and are confused. For now you are nothing. You see terror and are afraid. Did I ever say, bring something to me, or offer a bribe for me from your wealth, or deliver me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from the hand of oppressors? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue. Cause me to understand wherein I have erred. Because Eliphaz was blaming him, saying, this is your fault. You did something wrong. Job is like, where did I make the mistake? How forceful are right words, but what does your arguing prove? Do you intend to rebuke my words and the speeches of a desperate one, which are as wind? So he knows, Job is aware, he knows what's going on here and what's happening here. And he knows that even his complaint is probably pretty much a waste of time. But he still has a complaint. Yes, you overwhelm the fatherless, and you undermine your friend. Now, therefore, be pleased to look at me, for I would never lie to your face. Integrity. Yield now, let there be no injustice. Yes, concede, my righteousness still stands. So Job knows he hasn't done anything wrong. This is good. Is there injustice on my tongue? Cannot my taste discern the unsavory? Now, this latter part of the chapter causes me to think back at the first, when he wants to be cut off. Why? Is it because maybe he suspects something else is going on here? Because now I'm starting to think about this, and it's like, does Job maybe suspect something else was happening, and he doesn't want to deal with it? He's like, you know what, if this is how bad it's going to be, then there's no reason. It has nothing to do with him being in pain and suffering now. It sounds almost a lot like he's upset about what led up to this. Remember the first couple of chapters. Had nothing to do with him. He just happened to be on the receiving end of it. Now, here's the most incredible part of this that I think is, who is receiving the worst part? If his kids were doing something wrong, where are they at right now? They're dead, but where are they at? Because if they were doing those things, and he was having to offer sacrifices for them, where did this put them? Certainly didn't send them to heaven. His wife cursed God and die. Where's she at? What's happening to her? His friends are now there trying to bring their friend down in this time of suffering. Who's on the worst end of this? Because from my perspective, it's not Job. Though Job is the one suffering the most, is he really? Because his suffering right now is temporal. His suffering right now is temporary. A lot of these other people, several of them, are in eternal suffering. If what the book is hinting at really was happening. So, does Job have a complaint here? Well, yeah, in a way. Why would I be alive and be brought through all this just to be brought back all the way down to nothing? But at the same time, he doesn't have a lot to complain about because the Lord had blessed him greatly. Even if you get a short period of time with this, with great blessings from the Lord, be thankful that you had that. And if it all disappears, be thankful that you had the time that you had. We had when my friend Carol got cancer and died, I went out there, lived out at her place for 6 months, took care of her horse ranch. Beautiful place. Beautiful place. And then a mutual friend ended up buying it, and so we would go out there and help her out, watch her place, take care of the animals when she had to go to see her family over in Arizona and other places. So, though we weren't able to buy it because it was way too much money, and it was even more this time when it got sold. Oof. Almost $750,000. Nope. It was like, okay, this is like perfect. We loved it out there, and everything worked good. I had a place that looked like a state park. I had everything looking really nice out there, and it just wasn't going to be. And so what I told my wife was, well, at least we had that time. At least we had that 6 months. And we've been able to go out a couple of times since then and hang out. At least we had that. and not to sit and fret because we didn't get what we wanted out of it. And I told that to the Lord in prayer. I said, Lord, I see that this isn't going to work out. You have other plans for us, but I thank you for the time that we had here. He gave us that time because nobody else was going to be able to do that, and it just fell on me all of a sudden. He gave us that time, and I was thankful for that time. So in this case, and this is just my opinion looking at what is being said here, Job had that wonderful time and had those wonderful things. It almost kind of seems like maybe he's it's not that he's not grateful of what he had, but he just doesn't want to be going through this anymore. Now it may be, and this is just from what I'm gathering from this, he was having some problems beforehand, as chapter 1 seemed to indicate, and then his wife says the things that she says to him, and now his friends are over here giving him. He doesn't want to hear it no more. He doesn't want no part of it. Because he doesn't, he's in his time of suffering, time of mourning, and now he's got people berating him and bashing him. A lot has fallen on him very quickly. And on top of that, he's sitting there and he's in pain and uncomfortable. I mean, those boils all over his body, and he's sitting in ashes. That burns. That burns in those boils. And then he's taking a piece of pottery and scraping him on top of it. He's in a lot of pain. So his complaint is just. But when you're in a situation like that and your complaint is just, don't forget to be thankful for the good times that you had. Don't forget to be thankful for what the Lord has blessed you with. Now, we're just 6 chapters in. This is a big book. There's a lot more that has to happen, and a lot more is going to be said, and a lot more is going to be revealed. Job, just like all the prophets that we did, you know how they started out a certain way, but then all of a sudden they were like, wait a minute, what is wrong with my people? You know what? I'm siding with the Lord on this one. And I think we see that with Job, happen with Job too. Job starts out one way, but then immediately stands his ground, like he just did with Eliphaz. He stands his ground. You're going to sit here and you're going to say these things to me? I don't think so. My complaint is just. So Job is standing his ground, and that's good. He's keeping his wits about him, and that's good, because I believe Satan may have sent his friends there to do him an injustice. Just all the other stuff they've done. Now these guys are over here trying to blame him. Job, what'd you do wrong? Well, I don't do anything wrong. Even God admitted that. He's my righteous servant. So Satan it's a great example of how he does this in our everyday lives. How he constantly tries to get us to feel bad about things. Tries to get us to take the guilt and to bring us down and to get us to stop looking at the Father. Like I said the other day, when you're all the way at the bottom, the only place you can look is up. And a lot of times, God does this. In fact, my wife was talking about that the other day. Remember, I did that video just 2 days ago, I think, talking about sometimes those bad things are meant to bring about a good result. And when we look at that, and I was telling her that's exactly what I talked about in the video. Sometimes these bad things are meant to bring about a great result. Can you imagine how much greater Job is going to be and how much more faithful he is going to be after this? He is going to have stronger faith. Look to the Lord all the more. Amazing. Guys, that was Job 6. Tomorrow will be Job 7. My suffering is comfortless. So he's still, in a way, responding to Eliphaz, but now he's going to get into some more detail about what's going. So I think we're going to find some examples in here that might actually hit home for all of us. Because all of us are in some form of suffering. Some form of suffering that we can relate to this story. And it may be that the reason why we're doing this book now is because this is going to be a comfort for a lot of us to know we're not alone. Our suffering isn't unique. We're not alone. Because somebody somewhere is suffering the same way we are, in one aspect or another. And if we can see it in the Bible, it helps us understand. It helps us put it in its place. And it helps us see the light at the end of the tunnel and weather the storm through, because the Lord will bring us to redemption just like he's going to do for Job. Guys, that was Job 6. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.